My family was hardworking, middle class. My mom and my dad both worked full-time jobs to give my brother and I everything that we needed. But there were things that we wanted to have that sometimes they just had to say no. And I think some people might walk away from a situation learning how to be content with the little things in life, but for me it kind of had the reverse effect. I felt like I almost needed to make up for lost time, like I needed to spoil myself because I wasn't spoiled as a kid. I started playing music when I was about 12 years old, and then my brother started a band with some of the youth in the church and asked me if I wanted to be a part of it, and I said yeah. And then as we started to get better and get more recognized around the area, we started to all take it a little bit more seriously. So I felt like if I was going to be playing that consistently, I needed good stuff. And from there, it just kind of kept evolving into this love or this addiction to have nice things and nice gear. When I was a younger kid and I didn't have a job and I didn't have anyone to be responsible for, it was easy to drop a bunch of money on something that I wanted. But when you have a family to provide for, it's not easy. One of my family's biggest desires was to own a house. I started selling off all my equipment to pay all that debt off so that we could get a house, and we did. But then I found myself kind of slipping back into that addiction of wanting to get back all the stuff that I had gotten rid of. I've probably owned between $40,000 and $50,000 worth of music equipment, and I don't really have any to show for it as of now. It's really created a lot of worry and remorse for me. There were nights when I would just lay in bed, obsessing over whatever it is that I just purchased. I just couldn't shut my brain off. I was so amped up for whatever it is that I bought. That kind of feeds that adrenaline aspect until it arrives at your door, and then the excitement kind of goes away, and then you realize oh, this isn't really what I thought it was going to be, or that kind of worry or remorse sets in. We're like, how am I going to pay for this? This wasn't a good decision at all. It got to a point where my guilt had reached an all-time high. The debt that I had created had reached an all-time high as well. And I've struggled with depression for most of my adult life. And there were a couple moments where I laid in bed and just thought to myself, maybe my family would just be better off if I wasn't here. That it wasn't fair to them what I was doing. It was very selfish, and I didn't have their thoughts in mind, and I just figured maybe they'd just be better off without me and I wouldn't have to hurt them anymore. A friend of mine sent me a song called Nothing Else by Cody Carnes. I thought it was a good song, but I didn't really connect with it on a personal level. It ended up getting programmed for a weekend service. I don't think that was by coincidence at all. And so when I started learning the song for the weekend, I just kept hearing the phrase, I just want you, nothing else, over and over. And God really used those words to convict me. I've been letting my buying addiction, rule my life instead of letting God rule my life.
And I'm sorry when I've just gone through the motions. I'm sorry when I just sang another song. And take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. And I'm sorry when I've come with my agenda. I'm sorry when I forgot that sure enough, take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. I'm caught up in your presence, and I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never want
The line, "Take me back to where we started, I open up my heart to you," just kind of reminds me of, the first time that I accepted Jesus in my heart. I wasn't worried about what gear I had, and I think sometimes we need to think about that and go back to that moment when nothing else mattered. I knew that I needed to make a change in my life, and so I started kind of evaluating all of the things that I had and trying to decide if it was a necessity or not, down to one guitar and just everything that I need to do what I do at church. That's a struggle for me to look at what I have and just say, that's good enough. So if I can learn to be content with the things that God's blessed me with, I'm not going to have to worry about constantly getting the next best thing. I can just be happy with what I have. I was reading a verse in Matthew 6, it talks about to not worry about everyday life, to not worry about what you're going to eat, what you're going to drink, or the clothes that you're going to wear, because isn't there more to life than that? And then the next verse talks about how the birds don't store away food in the barns that our Heavenly Father feeds them. So aren't we more important than the birds are? And then it talks about how you can't add any minute of your life by worrying. So it just made me realize that there are things in life that are absolutely necessary for us, and God gives those to us every single day, and everything else is really not that important, and that we really shouldn't worry about.